There's something truly absurd about limited run games. I mean, they just have a lot of nerve, honestly. Really, guys? Are you kidding me? At what point is enough enough? So Limited Run Games has decided not only to make one version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but then they came out with one that has, quote, all the DLC, and now there's an Ultimate Edition that has more DLC. Unbelievable. So now Limited Run Games, a company that always said, oh, we'll never reprint games, is continuing to reprint games, but adding one slight thing, to get around that. And is it all their fault? I mean, I guess at the end of the day, .emu could have not made DLC for this game. And so it is kind of partly their fault for enabling Limited Run. But Limited Run could have been like, sorry, no, we're not taking the money. We'll just do our thing. But they had to take the money because the money was too good to resist, honestly. But it's so frustrating from the perspective of being a customer, I mean, yeah, for the most part, I don't buy games from Limited Run Games, but I did get the second one. I got the Anniversary Edition, but I didn't actually buy it per se. I got one of those deals where it was like buy 2 games, get 1 free, and that was the free game. I think I got it at Target. Yeah. Plus I had a gift card, so I even paid even less. And so I was pretty excited about that. The reason I got that game was because, I was really excited to play that. I played that game on Game Pass with my son when we had Game Pass for a month, and we never finished it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to finish this, and I assumed that this would be the final version of it, and it was cool to have a physical version of the game. Well, now they're releasing a third version on the Nintendo Switch and PS5, so they're leaving the Xbox people out again, of course. And it's so frustrating. It's so very frustrating from the perspective of a customer because, and here's the other kicker, Limited Run Games is still selling both versions on Amazon right now. I believe the one with all the DLC, or all DLC now, actually is $34, $35 I want to say, and then the other one is like $37. Yeah, the one without the DLC is more money. Make it make sense, right? And it's just so ridiculous that this even got more DLC to begin with. Like, yeah, I like Mondo Gecko and everything. Mondo Gecko's cool, but who the heck asked for Mona Lisa? Who? Who wanted Mona Lisa as DLC? Of all the cool characters they could have picked, they picked Mona Lisa. Make it make sense. I don't get it. It's so ridiculous. And then on top of it, of course, Limited Run is making this third version of the game, the quote ultimate. But I don't really believe it's the ultimate one, because what if .emu comes up with more DLC? Is Limited Run going to resist making a fourth one? They're going to be like, no, we can't do a fourth one? No, they'll so do a fourth one because it's about money with them because they're a business, and I get that. But it's also really greedy and anti-consumer because guess what? At the end of the day, most people who wanted this game have long since bought it. It's been around for years now. And, of course, Limited Run kind of has had a monopoly on this game. It's just absurd. It's absolutely absurd, and I just wanted to call it out. I think this is a terrible practice. And I think people should not buy it out of protest or whatever. Yeah, and I get it. I get wanting to play that game. I get wanting to support a cool small developer who made a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game, that we're all incredibly nostalgic for, especially if you grew up in the 90s. I mean, I love Ninja Turtles. I wrote my thesis that got me an actual bachelor's degree on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as the subject matter, and I love Ninja Turtles. I have tons of Ninja Turtle stuff, but to expect anyone to buy this, it's just absurd. And I thought Limited Run should be called out for it because I think it is a bad practice. Limited Run has fallen very far from grace, honestly. They used to be that company who was like, back in the day, like back in like 2018, they were like, you know what, we want to make the game Celeste physical, but we want to wait for all the DLC. They don't do that anymore. And this is proof of that. This is proof of they don't care about DLC. They don't care that the consumer gets the whole game, It really isn't about physical forever. It's some physical forever, even though physical isn't even really forever because you could lose your whole game collection in a flood. I mean, literally, people are experiencing a terrible storm right now at the time of this recording, or have experienced this terrible storm that happened in the southern United States right now. And so it's just like physical isn't forever. Physical, is tangible and does not have an infinite shelf life. But we love the idea of physical media, and Limited Run Games is exploiting people's love for physical media in that way. and they just keep nickel and diming everybody, and it's ridiculous. And some people are like, well, it's not their fault. Who knew that there was going to be new DLC? It's like, yeah, they didn't know that. They didn't know there'd be DLC, okay? But they could have just chose not to make the game, and been like, you know what, people can buy the DLC. It's like we have lots of other projects to worry about. And they have lots of games in the pipeline, obviously. So, but it was just a way to make a quick buck, exploit more people who are easily parted with their money, And it's frustrating too. It's not just frustrating for the people who first bought it, or even the people like myself who got it the second time around, but it's so frustrating because when you get a game, you expect it to be complete to a certain extent. I mean, sure, maybe the people who bought the first one, maybe there was an inkling of DLC would come, or whatever, but to the people like me who got the second version, I kind of assumed this was the end of the DLC. And I think a lot of other people who got the anniversary edition probably felt the same way. It's like, well, I'm glad I waited, because that's how it always goes. Usually there's one game, and then there's a Game of the Year edition one. That's just how it always goes. They don't make a third version unless it's on a totally different system. Now, if they had made this maybe like PS5 and Xbox Series exclusive, okay, I can see that. But the fact that they put it on the Switch as well, yeah, that's just shady, okay? And that's my opinion about that. But what are your guys' thoughts? What do you think about this? Do you think this is kind of shady, kind of ridiculous? Do you think they're going to do a fourth one? Comment below. Love to hear what you have to say. Anyways, stay awesome in this universe. Later.